So today we are talking about Dead Cells. So let's start. The surprising thing about Dead Cells is how harmonically it combines all the elements. Take the procedural generation of levels. If in some charms one feels that the rooms are molded to each other by a computer and not by a person, then hear of the existence of such a future at first you do not even suspect. Huge zones contain teleporting points and secret passages, and chests with useful items, and much more. And everything is so nicely arranged and connected, as if the generation is not random at all, and was designed that way. The structure and many of the rooms are still more or less the same, but you don't get bored with the monotony. At the beginnings of the passage, the character has only an ordinary sword in his hands, and 2 steps away from it there is a bow and shield. You can take with you only 2 weapons, and you will win in any case. Just a bow will allow you to shoot at enemies from distance, and the shield absorbs some of the damage, but can also be used to counter-attack. Over time, the player will find whips that ignore enemy shields, as well as Spartan sandals and more. While there were a balanced issue in early stages of development, you can now success with almost any outfit. There were also 2 slots for additional weapons. These are special items with cooldowns after using them. These two you start bumping into fairly early on, unlocking more and more options as you go. These can be traps, forcing the enemy to stand still for a few seconds, or attack of circular shows. There are also all sorts of grenades. One explodes and covers the ground and enemies with oil. Another frees the enemies at third calls on the little beating worms. You can throw daggers in different directions, causing your opponents to bleed. There are a lot of options, and later you will thoroughly test everything and decide what is most comfortable to run with. Although note the fact that all the necessary weapons can be found during the journey. After that all inventory is taken away. And at first, not too many things are unlocked. To get access to new items, you need to collect blueprints, which are either well hidden or fall out of the enemies and bosses. You'll take these blueprints to a quiet place where you get after each level, and then you pay for each individual item with cells. This is one of the local currencies that periodically falls out of defeated enemies. If a character dies, any remaining cells in receiving are destroyed, so the game won't let you enter the next zone until you give all the money to the apported character. One of the drawbacks of Dead Cells is related to this. Each paid trades allow you to later find a particular weapon in the game, worth or buy it from a merchant. But it is impossible to get rid of this or that item and permanently erase it from the general list of unlocked items. So if you don't like some grenades that you spent your hard-earned money on, you will have to stumble upon them until the final. On the other hand, even not the most useful thing sometimes have great additional properties. A sword you prefer to daggers can come out with a special bonus. It will cause you to bleed, or you will drop bombs with every swing. If you like shields, you constantly fall out with bows. That's not a problem. What is your enemies destroyed with your arrows will allow behind poison clouds. After defeating the first boss, you will unlock the forge, where you can change these parameters, and the inconspicuous piece of equipment will shine with new colors. The same cells that are spent turning blueprints into real items are used to simplify gameplay. In the respect, Dead Cells is reminiscent of Rogue Legacy, where players use the gold they earn to improve the castle, increasing the attack power of the character, enhancing abilities, and unlock new classes. There are not locks here, but there is a special merchant who offers some interesting bonuses. For example, a healing potion will appear in your inventory, and you no longer have to rely on the fallout of very rare food from enemies. Then you will accumulate enough cells to given random weapons at the beginning of the passage, instead of having to choose from the same options. Therefore, even the failed attempts to defeat the boss move the player forward. He could not defeat a large enemy, but collect on the previous location about 50 cells and slightly simplified his future races. but the strength of the attack and the resolve of health in this way can be not changed. For this you have to look for scrolls, often surrounded by a couple of monsters. Here too the player is presented with a choice. Scrolls increase the brutality, tactics and serviceability, increasing the damage from the corresponding weapons and at the same time lengthening the life bar. But each time the boosts get worse and worse, and at some point you have to choose between boosting your sword with 15 bonus health or upgrading an unnecessary weapon with 60 extra survivability. It is all important in the particular race, but once you are dead you lose these upgrades, to becoming a regular squish. Dead Cells reward you with both thoughtful exploration of each corridor and quick run from one location to the next. You can methodically destroy each enemy, admiring the gorgeous animation which change depending on the weapon, elegantly dodge attack by reacting in time to exclamation marks a barrier enemies has and using a roll. Learn the characteristics of your opponents, understanding their weakness, and use your surroundings to defeat them, luring the entire crowd into this one spot by throwing bombs, or making a ground impact when falling from the top platform. Or you can use the same roll to move quickly to the exit. Then in the next zone you can open the door with the treasure, which slams shut after a couple of minutes after the start. A lot of things in this game seems to have been thought out in detail and brought to near perfection. The controls are very responsible and the combat system is strikingly beautiful. The enemies react to blows and fall apart spectacularly into pixels, while the main characters masterfully dodge attacks, actively uses additional weapons and swings his sword or daggers. Runners gradually obtained by the character give him access to new rooms and corridors. First you learn how to grow a vine in certain places using it as ladder, and then you start teleporting from one tomb to another and bouncing off the walls. And Procedural Generation doesn't ruin anything with that. You can always use those features to shorten the path to get to a secret. By and large, there are no special innovation in the game. Almost everything has been done before. Rogue Legacy particularly takes the system of progress. The binding of Isaac reminds us of the need to cope with difficulties with found weapons. The enemies can take a huge amount of health in one blow, as in many hardcore projects, but Dead Cells does not feel like a copy. Its author did not just somehow tie these components together, but achieved a balance and make the gameplay so enjoyable that you can spend dozens of hours here and still want more. Although, as a 13th point, Dead Cells will start to seem a little monotonous. Each time it will try to make a new playground, unlike the previous one. The rooms are placed differently, the weapons will have to use unusual, then instead of the ordinary enemy will appear his elite version with a large health and great trophies for killing him. And that's the beauty of the game. It offers a lot of different content and mix up that you always enjoy it even if you fall. Coupled with a beautiful and dynamic combat system, a fascinating exploration of location and many other virtues, this makes Dead Cells one of the best games of the year. Thank you for watching, please subscribe to my channel. Thank you.